Finish this sentence in your head. She opened the door and saw. Your brain already guessed. It generated possible endings before I finished speaking. A room, a person, something wrong. Whatever you predicted, you did it instantly, without trying, without deciding to. You experienced that process as understanding, but neuroscientists just discovered something unsettling about what that process actually is. They placed electrodes directly onto the surface of people's brains, they played them a podcast, and they watched the brain process every word in real time. What they found was not what anyone expected. The brain does not understand language the way you think it does. It processes language almost the same way an AI model does. Prediction by prediction, layer by layer, probability by probability. The disturbing part was not that the patterns were similar. It was where the similarity appeared, deep in the regions associated with meaning itself. The question everyone has been asking for 5 years is whether AI can think like a human. That question now looks like the wrong one. The right question is whether your brain was ever doing anything other than computing. A hospital room, fluorescent lights, a patient lies still on a bed, a grid of electrodes pressed against the exposed surface of their brain. The electrodes were already there for medical reasons. Someone puts earbuds in, someone presses play, a podcast begins, and the data starts flowing. This is the study, published in Nature Communications, led by Ariel Goldstein at the Hebrew University with researchers at Princeton and Google. They recorded exactly when and where neural activity occurred as each word entered the patient's ear. Then they took the same transcript and fed it through 2 large language models, GPT-2 and Llama 2. They compared what the brain did to what the AI did. Early layers of the AI handled simple patterns. Deeper layers assembled context and meaning, and as the AI moved deeper through the text, the brain did too. The alignment was tightest in Broca's area, the region where meaning is constructed. The brain builds meaning, the way a language model builds meaning, not all at once, not through some special human faculty, through layers of prediction, each refining the one before it. You do not experience reality, you experience your brain's prediction of it. And that prediction runs on an architecture that, it turns out, is not uniquely human. There is a theory in neuroscience that most people have never heard of. It has quietly reshaped the field over 20 years. It is called the free energy principle, and the short version is this. The brain is a prediction machine, not metaphorically, functionally. Every perception, every sensation, every moment of what you call experience, the brain generates a prediction about what should be happening and compares it against what actually arrives through your senses. When the prediction is close, you experience the world as stable. When it fails, you get surprise, confusion, learning. You have felt this. Your phone vibrates in your pocket. You reach for it, nothing is there. Your brain predicted a sensation that did not occur. For a fraction of a second, reality stuttered. A song you know comes on. You hear the first 3 notes of the chorus. Your brain has already generated the rest. You are not listening to the music. You are confirming your prediction of it. You walk into your apartment, you expect silence, someone is standing in the hallway, your heart rate spikes before you recognize them, your body reacted to a prediction error before your conscious mind caught up. This is not a metaphor for how the brain works. This is how the brain works. Prediction, comparison, update, thousands of times per second, every sense, every moment, but language was only the beginning. Because the researchers realized the same logic might apply to something far more personal. If perception is prediction, and language comprehension is prediction, then what about the things we consider most human? The things we were sure no machine could touch? What about emotion? In this framework, emotions are not separate from computation. They are part of it. Happiness is a prediction confirmed. The world is behaving the way your model says it should. Anxiety is a prediction under threat. Too many variables. The model cannot stabilize. And grief. Grief may be a prediction error that does not resolve. Let that sit. Someone you love dies. Your brain built a model of the world that included them, their voice, their habits, the sound of their keys in the door at 6:15. The person is gone. The model has not caught up. You walk into the kitchen. The mug is where they left it. Your brain predicts their voice. The kitchen is silent. You wake up in the morning. For half a second, the model still expects them beside you. Then the prediction fails. And the failure arrives as a wave of something that has no equivalent in any programming language. That is grief, in the language of this theory. Not a mystical experience, a prediction error so deep and so repeated that the entire model has to rebuild itself. The rebuilding is the pain. The researchers are not saying you do not feel it. They are saying the feeling is not separate from the mechanism. It is the mechanism. Now, go back to the study. The brain processes language through layered prediction. Large language models process language through layered prediction. The alignment is tightest where meaning is built. Here is the part that matters most. AI was not designed to mimic the brain. The engineers who built GPT were not neuroscientists. They were not modeling cortical architecture. They had one objective: predict the next word. That was it. And what emerged, without anyone planning it, was a system that processes language through a hierarchy that mirrors the one evolution spent millions of years building inside the human skull. Two processes. One biological, shaped by natural selection over deep time. One artificial, shaped by gradient descent over a few years of training. Neither knew the other existed. Both arrived at the same solution. When two independent systems converge on the same architecture, it usually means something about the problem they are both trying to solve. The problem is reality, noisy, ambiguous, incomplete. The brain solves this to keep you alive, the model solves this to finish your sentence. The math turns out to be similar. If the brain is a prediction machine, and a language model is a prediction machine, and the architecture converges, then the question is not whether AI can think. The question is what we mean when we say thinking. Understanding may just be prediction that feels convincing. If that is true, then the word thinking does not point to some quality beyond computation. It points to the computation itself. This does not mean AI is conscious. Nobody is claiming that. Consciousness may require something we do not have a name for yet. Something beyond prediction, beyond pattern, beyond probability. But language comprehension, the construction of meaning from sound, the sense of understanding another person, on that, the gap between human and machine just got measurably smaller. Not because the machine improved, because we discovered what we had been doing all along. For centuries, the case for human uniqueness leaned on language. Language is where meaning lives. Language is the proof that something more than biology is happening inside the skull. If language processing follows the same predictive architecture in a brain and in a machine trained on nothing but text, then that argument does not collapse. But it loses its floor. Some will say the brain does more than language. It feels, it imagines, it dreams, it writes poetry at 3 in the morning for no reason. They may be right. But 20 years ago, nobody thought language comprehension would fall either. The assumption was that understanding words required understanding the world. That meaning needed experience. That you could not parse a sentence without being alive. The assumption was wrong. And assumptions like that tend to fall one at a time. Quietly, published in a journal most people will never read, then absorbed into the background the way all paradigm shifts are, slowly, and then all at once. The electrodes are still recording, the models are still improving, each new generation of AI aligns more closely with neural data than the one before. Nobody knows where this ends. A machine predicts the next word, a brain predicts the next moment. And somewhere between those two processes, we drew a boundary between human and artificial. The unsettling possibility is not that the machine crossed it. It is that the boundary may never have been where we thought it was.